Welcome to the Fantasy HQ podcast, all things NRL Fantasy. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Facebook. Your hosts, Frosty and Stevo. Welcome everyone to Fantasy HQ, all things NRL Fantasy podcast. I'm Stevo, joined here by fellow co-host Frosty. So Frosty, first time in the hot seat for both of us doing a podcast together. I wouldn't say my wife is overly pleased with the idea, but here we are on a Tuesday night nonetheless. Are you looking forward to it as much as she is?
Look, Steve, I can only speak for myself, and hey, I'm G'd up, super excited. Bulldogs games get me pretty bad up on a weekly, but this is right up there with them, so stoked to be getting this underway and building on what's to come. So first up, just talking about foundations and building up. Thanks to everyone who's given us a follow, a subscription, a like on a video. That support's massive when we're trying to get things off the ground here. And much like Stevo, my wife is in the same boat with her pleasure level. So in it together and looking forward to it.
I'm glad to hear they're in the same boat, so it's not just me in the dog box tonight. We'll get into a quick recap of our round 17 performances and how we're placed, starting with you, Frosty.
Yeah, sweet. Last round, I managed a 933, an overall rank there of 620. So drifted slightly. I was right on the 500 mark going into that round, but only used one trade. And it was sort of one of those weeks where it was a little bit dodgy. I could have blown out, but now I think I'm well set for the run home. The biggest misfortune for me was I had Ponga coming in for Walsh, I beg your pardon. And then Ponga goes down with his Liz Frank injury. So I reversed that, knowing that he's probably off to Origin, and mistakenly kept Lawson in the 4 spot. So his whopping 21 got added onto the weekly score instead of Tamanga's 36. But hey, you win some and you lose some, don't you?
You do win some and lose some. And I was much the same, really, for my team. If we look at it here, 938. Happy with that. At the end of round 17... finished up with a rank of 1347, which is about 90 rank loss from last week. But if I had to pick my loot right, you see down the bottom there, I've got Duncan and Shibasaki scoring a 96 and a 76 respectively. And if I had to pick those two instead of the safe option in Tavanga and Turbo, I would have actually been inside the top 700, right next to you, Frosty. And I missed out on the 87 points. And yeah,
I'll just chuck that out there. One of the most brutal things that I have seen when it comes to looping that. Just 2 career games, unheard of.
2 career games, both grabbing a couple meat pies each. It's I was pretty devastated.
I'm still not over it.
I thought the 85 points would be a safe option just to stay around that top 1K, which worked. I mean, it's not like it didn't, but I could have made big inroads this last round. My target's always been the minor and major buy rounds to make inroads for the top 1K. So I played it safe and I ended up being in a safe position. So we'll jump into TLT now, which is hot off the list. If you want to start us off with your favourites here, the Dogs.
Yeah, talking about being barred up. Hey, they need one back here against the weakened Broncos team. So fingers crossed it might be that banana peel game like the Warriors had against that New South Wales Cup Panthers team, but hopefully not. But on the fantasy front, hey, not much to talk about here. Dogs first. Matty Burden, one to keep watching, keep an eye on him. An unfolding situation there with the new recruit Galvin back on the bench and Sexton to hooker and what's going on there. So Galvin eventually comes in. Burden might steal those kicking meters and be worth a buy. Otherwise, Preston, hey, he's a locked gun. Buy when you can, when you get that money, and he won't let you down. The Broncos, well short-handed here, and really not too much to talk about outside of Karapani. It's starting to get a little bit away on people who haven't got on him yet. That boat's just about sailing away. So just about the last round if you're looking for a cheaper centre for the run home.
The one thing that has me worried there with Karapani is Cobbo back. Cobbo comes out and has a stunner. Do you reckon he takes his spot back, or is he just done for at Broncos, so they stick with Karapani?
That's an interesting situation with Cobbo, isn't it? And out of favour by the looks, but you're right. If he goes large, helps upset the Dogs. A couple try assists, 200 meters running. Yeah, that's a good question. So with that probably in mind, Karapani's probably a stay away for myself personally this week.
I mean, Cobbo's got a point to prove this week. That's undeniable. So I'm rooting for him because I actually like Cobbo. But on the flip side, I need a centre, and Karapani's sort of in the picture at the moment. So I'm just that's why I asked the question. I need a bit of advice from you, Frosty.
I think so. Fantasy teams first day. So Cobbo goes no good, Dogs win, and Karapani keeps the spot. There you go.
I've got one other question for you then with your Bulldogs team. Lachlan Galvin, does he crack the starting team this season? Or is he just going to run that 14th man, come on, does Sexton play half? It's looked sort of average the last couple of games. So what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's interesting. Brayton Astor, Jonathan Thurston, I think it was, 04, when they won the premiership off the bench in the 14 role. So maybe they're trying to draw a bit of inspiration there. But yeah, they just got too many cattle for those playmaking roles, don't they? So someone's not fitting, and it's looking like Sexton not signed for next year. Although his win percentage is high, I do feel sorry for the guy. 10 or 11 rounds last year, the same again this year, and his win percentage with the team's up around 85%. Not really put a foot wrong, but I am picking Galvin. Probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks. I think it's still another couple at 14, learning the defensive systems, learning how they play. But come around 21, 22, I think he's in.
I think if you want to win a comp, if you want to win the NRL, you've got to have your best team on the field for 80 minutes. And Galvin's one of those players. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to see what they do. I don't want the Bulldogs to win, but I'm sure you'll be happy if things go right with Galvin. Looking at the Raiders game against the Dragons here on Saturday, we've got Jed Stewart holds his spot for the Raiders. Not a huge amount affected here other than Papali'i out with the Maroons. We got Sasaki in there on the edge as a potential option depending on Hudson Young and his health post-Origin. He scores good if he's starting. Someone that I'm sort of keen on as well because he plays that centre role. On the bench there, nothing really too much. It's sort of like a stock standard. If you've got Horsburgh, Starling, Hosking, you're sort of Tapani, you're sort of happy at the moment. Dragons.
I'll be in that boat.
Dragons, a couple changes. Sione Finau, Corey Allen. Jeez, they're calling on some... Sloan back.
He's been cut, sent off to the wilderness. He returns somehow.
You got Gula there. Couchman's out. He's gone. Looks like the rest of the season potentially. Still a bit of word to come back on that. We'll touch more on that later though. For Telemaria there is back in the starting side, 11. He'll be one to watch. Not a huge amount. A couple you could take a risk on.
It looks like Raymond's in for 80. There's no back row there on the bench, so that could be one for the watch list. Those looking to make a pod play, maybe buy in if you're short on the edge and you don't want to go large on someone like a Preston. Otherwise, you've got your Cook that some people have landed at the hooker spot, and you're outside of that. Just some battlers trying their best. King Togia, hopefully in the money making for those that have held. A couple of week 40s back to back, so that's nice. Probably not playing him this week. But right. Yeah, that's about it for me.
Do you want to take us through the Cowboys Storm playing on Saturday, Frosty?
Yeah, great matchup at fullback. Some people probably have both of them, at least one I would say for most teams. Myself, drink water, so hoping he continues to bounce back. There's one, Purdue, probably starting to lose a little bit, getting a little bit too leaky up against a good Storm team. I would be probably looking to flick him if you got your centres covered this round. Otherwise, take his wee 20 to low 30s coming your way. Not much there in the forward pack. Again, short-handed this week. Just a lot of spot fillers. Storm, Paps is there as mentioned. Jerome Hughes bounced back, massive week last week, an 80. Massive price rise, probably not ideal for those that were just waiting another week. And I would say, yeah, if not this week, that boat's probably sailing for the run home. So he would be the forefront of this matchup for myself. In the Storm forward pack, Qatar, much like Preston, gun keeper here at the back row. Buy when you can. No more buys left. Great buy for the run home. And yeah, not much on either bench there.
I'll tell you what, I haven't actually seen the team list prior to now, so I'm going a bit blind, but I was not expecting Joe Chan and Kane Bradley both to be starting there on the centre and wing.
Gee, what a treat that is. Joe Chan.
I mean,
if Labour or Pewdu, they could be in for a couple of tries there.
I'm thinking Kane Bradley, if he's a centre as well, I'm just thinking it's not the worst thing me having a 230 red dot that I can sort of loop with going forward. I might have to do a bit of looking into that because someone that might score a try this week and get a cheeky 30, 40, get me through, and then it's that red dot I need to cash someone out. So someone for me to look at anyway.
This week is last major buy round. Those red dots you just mentioned before. Does that have to be forefront of the mind for fantasy players now? Like, say, a Joe Chan or a Bradley, they're in this week. You know that they're probably guaranteed not to be in unless injuries pop up for the rest of the season. Hope they give you a 40 this week and then roll that red dot out. Is that something that people should be considering this week, do you reckon?
For me, it's been part of my plan going forward. It wasn't meant to be this week because I was meant to have, we'll talk about it soon, but I was meant to have a full 13 before trades, but a couple of people got called into Origin in my centres and fullbacks, so it sort of left me a bit short. I do want to cash out and get a red dot going forward so that I can loop a bit easier, depending on when they play weekly and positional. So yeah, it's an option. Don't really want to be wasting trades though. So it's sort of if you're bringing in a red dot, you know you've got to stick with it. Good thing is those two can fill a hole this week and potentially score 30 points rather than playing 12 and do the job of red dot. So it's going to be part of the thought process for me anyway.
Yeah, nice. And I would say just quickly, Bradley probably the one of the two for myself if anyone was thinking about that option and that strategy for this round. Winger, Cowboys select some tries. He could grab a double, get you a wee 45, and he's out unless injuries, where Joe Chan might snag a bench spot before Bradley finds his spot in the lineup again.
Right, taking a look at the Roosters versus Tigers Sunday game here. 4:00 in New Zealand. Roosters have, quite a lot of fantasy relevance there with Tedesco at the top. He's probably one of your gun fullbacks you might look at this week. Marky Mark there at the 4 spot. He's sort of been one of those superstars of the season so far. He's actually getting up pretty...
Not going to refer to him by his last name there, Stephen.
No, I might leave that one. Need a bit of practice on that.
Fair enough.
Hugo Savala there. Surprised he's stayed in the team as long as he has, to be honest. But in my fantasy team, that is, he's been fantastic for the Roosters. So it's sort of, he's just about going to be a borderline keeper as like a 17th, 18th man. At the moment, he's sort of looking like a reliable 50 points just about. So I've got no problem holding him. The 4-pack there, there's a bit to sort of consider. With Wong out injured now, and a couple others out, potentially rested. You've got White there that's done a pretty good job all season. Butcher, who, it's just knowing who's going to be replacing Wong until that sort of round 23 permanently, because Fokiki, I can't really... Salesi at number 12 there. Edge mid, he's in that sort of mid 300s, and he does score pretty well if he's playing that sort of high minutes. So someone that's on my radar, it's sort of, if it's not this week, it's probably not at all, because again, it's sort of like that cashing down, fill in a spot this week. Not too much on the bench there that I'd consider because they're not going to be there the following week. For the Tigers, Taruva moves back to fullback. So they've had a bit of an unlucky run here with Mason and Buller injured. You've got Dewey there moving to 6. So Dewey played really well last week, coming in with Fainu in the house. He looked like he wanted to get involved, and I mean, if you knew he was playing 6 or 7 all season as a 400k centre half, I would probably get him in as coverage as well. And I mean, he's on my radar, not gonna lie. But I mean, Luai is going to come back and he's going to go back to centre, so I'd be holding on him at the moment. In your 4-pack there, you've got the ever reliable mate, pretty stock standard Tristan Hope. Who's on the bench there? Charlie Murray, I think, plays a little bit of hooker as well, potentially. Jack Bird at 12, someone to consider. He's another edge centre. If he sticks in that role, he's sort of around that 40-point scorer. So, yeah, I mean, not too much on the bench there I'll be looking at either. But, your thoughts on this game, on these teams, Frosty?
Yeah, a bit more relevance in this game, isn't there? Teddy, a big one. I'll be watching him. Been on my team for a while now. Likewise, Savala. And yeah, that's going to have to be what people weigh up is, do they just keep him for the run home? Roosters, no more buys. The plan was him to keep his spot. Smith drop out before the unfortunate injury to the young gun there. And yeah, just a massive shout out. Hey, Zach Docker Clay burned us both this season. So thumbs up to you, big fella, and keep on doing what you're doing.
I can't believe, Frosty, I watched you get him in, saw how shit he went. Sorry, excuse my language there. And then a few weeks later, I thought, I'm going to give him a go.
Trigger.
And I get him out a few weeks later. So I got excited. But he was a bad bring-in, wasn't he? Moving along, Sea Eagles, Rabbitohs, Frosty.
Yeah, a few more names popping up in this one. Tommy Turbo, there at centre again, but proved enough last week, so worth that hold if you've got him. Garrick back on the wing again, showed enough. Hopefully lands a try here against the Bunnies. DCE, a pod play, wouldn't mind it. Potentially after next week's bye, though, for the run home. 250s in a row so far. If he could get a third one here, he would be popping up on the radar at slightly underpriced there. I hate to see Tavanga at hooker, but we'll cover him soon. Ben Travojevic, he has been doing unreal. Up of north of 100k earned, a solid 40 to 142 in the centres. If someone's had him from the start, hey, job well done there. He's been rock solid, and you're probably flicking him next week if that is the case. Nothing on the bench there. Bunnies, Ewan Aiken, big one. Shifted back out to the centres, which sort of seems to be the case. Gets 3-4 weeks at his preferred edge, and then something pops up and he's just first flicked out there. So I've stayed away from him purely for that reason, is that risk of the centre role. So it's come back to bite this week. Colin Matangi there. Again, we'll talk about captaincy options shortly, but he's one of very limited outside of May. Duncan's there after that whopping 96. And then Hutton is plodding away, which is just about time to flick him. But Duncan, Stevo, playing him this week or back on that bench and seeing another 70 or 80 coming your way?
Yeah, I'll be playing him this week for sure, Frosty. Gutted about that 96, but I mean, the good thing about it is he's making money. He was always going to be that sort of 18th man for me. If he blows his price out high after a few good weeks and something changes, I can always look to flick him. So I'm glad I've got him and I didn't have him, and I'm looking to bring him this week at a huge price. So, glass half full, you know what they say. But yeah, looking at those two teams, I think the bench of the Sea Eagles kind of excites me. If that stays the same with Simpkin and Talau, because it's sort of only two props there, two forwards there. Tavanga might be a little bit more minutes, maybe goes back into that sort of prop rotation. Or you could see a Tavanga to prop start with Simpkin starting at hooker and Lodge back to the bench, which I actually think is the way they may go. And I've got Tavanga, and we'll talk about it soon, but that will potentially depend on if I trade him. It's just a shame they play last, so
Yeah.
it's hard. But yeah, and Aitken at centre there. Not sure. Yeah, he might get the duel, but if he's playing centres, he's just not the same player. And I stayed away as well, thankfully. So yeah, that's our teams. We're going to jump now into your segment, Frosty, that you started up, which is basically our version of buy, hold, sell. So I'll just bring this pop up here. So this is called Try Time, 6 again, and 10 in the bin, which is our version of buy, hold, and sell. Players within the try time are buys. Players within the 6 again line there are holds or watches for another week. And players under the 10 in the bin are sells or avoids. So Frosty, you made this image. These are your selections here, your talking points. So why don't you take it away?
Thank you. Try time is first up there, and some of these just talk to themselves. Jacob Preston, as we said earlier on those team lists, certified gun, back rower, buy when you can afford. Turbo, a buy this week. A few of us in the community have been just waiting for round 18 to see how he goes. Found in the works last week, named at centre, but mid-40s is good enough, so pull the trigger there. And yeah, we're in desperate need for a wing fullback for some of us. So bring him in. Fainu gets the nod there, starting at 7. And again, he'll keep his spot in the halves moving forward for the rest of the season. And again, this week, if not next, the boat's just about sailing away on us. So jump on board if you're in need of a cheap half moving forward. And Scott Drinkwater, been in my team, but if you don't have him, hey, great cover for this round and next. No buy until round 27. And has dropped over 100k over the last 3 weeks. So a screaming buy is Drinkwater if he's not in your team. Anything for yourself on those 4, or
yeah, I mean,
yourself there, Steve?
Jacob Preston is someone that I wouldn't mind in my team. I sort of got him in as the best edge, but I'm also looking at Katoa from Storm as well. A bit cheaper, I think, and does a similar sort of role. That sort of combination with Hughes that we saw on the weekend looks pretty good, and someone that I'm potentially looking at this weekend, along with Preston. Yeah, I have Tommy. I'm never comfortable playing him in my starting team, but at his price, if you can get him locked into one of your extended bench spots inside your 21, but then able to play him this weekend, he's a no-brainer for the rest of the season. I think he's always got that chance of getting that sort of 40-plus score, but then on the flip side, he's got that chance of that injury. Fainu there, I've stayed away purely because I've got Savala doing the job, making me money already. I've got too many halves. I don't want to overload in them. And Drinkwater, yeah. And similar to Drinkwater, I've got Teddy listed down for me as well. Another wing fullback. I know there's going to be a few people needing them this week. So he's a keeper. Get him in your team if you don't have him. I don't. Frosty, you do, but I might be looking at getting him in this week. And yeah, the other one I've got there is Hughes. You mentioned it in the TLT, but I think this is the last week to get Hughes. Otherwise, you're just about going to be looking at 700k. And I picked him up at around 580, whatever he was. And yeah, he's going to be locked into my bench spots, in my interchange, sorry. Basically the rest of the season. So yeah, nice. Another one there.
Brilliant. And we'll move on to 6 again. First up there is Jazz. Spoke briefly in the team list. But yeah, the makeup of that bench, you're holding. Late changes we're very hopeful of there. Talau, usually when he's been named, is that utility 15 minutes at hooker, and Sipkin's starting. So we'd like to think that that's going to be the case. And even not, there's middle rotation minutes up for grabs. So just hold. Hopefully, at worst, you're picking up a 30, 32 from him. By next week, and flick him then. So hold for one more. Birdo, keep an eye again. Mentioned the unfolding situation there at the Dogs earlier. And if Galvin comes in, kicking meters look to be burdens, and pick him up if that is to be the case. Jack Bird, a little bit of spice here. The man that just keeps on giving to the fantasy world. Named at second row again. Not sure what Benji's thinking is here, but hey, Tigers are beginning to get into that desperate zone, and a solid 40 last week, named there again. So watch this week, and if it's another mid-40s and he's named again next week, I will be seriously considering bringing him in. More so dual position and back up at centre for the run home will be very handy there. And finally, just one for the radar, more so. Peter Mamzolis. There's a bye next week, named on the bench. He goes mid-20s to a low 30s this week, and he's benched again after that bye. He's looking at losing another 70 to 80, 90k possibly. And if you're after a backup hooker for the run home after that, and he's going to be starting hooker eventually, scoring 45 plus points, that'll be a bargain at that 450k, 460k mark. Anything from yourself quickly there, Steve-O?
Yeah, I'd definitely say if you're in the need of a hooker this week, don't fall into a trap of buying Jazz or Peter there, because although they might fill the spot, I mean, they're sort of on the decline for a bit, and they're not to buy this week. Burden, though, I do like the idea of him coming in at some stage. Again, depending on what Zavala does, maybe not for me because I've got too many halves. Jack Bird, though, yeah, he's always going to be that one that just sort of hurts you if you get him in. But I mean, if he goes right this week, I will seriously consider him next week as just a price out. I mean, I'm seriously considering him this week. Not 100% sure what I'm going to do yet. So, other ideas I had for our holds or our six agains. Just to confirm, they're Carraz and Walsh that have been called into Origin, that you probably had in your team for this week for the bye round. You don't want to be trading those two out now. They're both holds. You hopefully able to do something else to field 13. Carraz is sort of your keeper, and Walsh is in staying to make money, so he's going to be someone that's going to be of good value for your extended bench spots. But yeah, I want to 10 in the bin.
I think with both those, very quickly, is if you've got Garrick plays this week, buy next, so it would be play Garrick this week, and then slot in your Walsh or your Carraz next week and flick Garrick to other needs in your squad for depth at different positions.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And 10 in the bin. Look, first three speak for themselves here. Couchman, dislocated shoulder. Serious shoulder trouble throughout the season. May not be back this season now. Really niggly for those like myself who have spent 3 to 4 trades on him, getting him in, getting him out. He returns, and you take that gamble again, and you've just burnt another 2. But hey, that's the pain of the fantasy roller coaster at times. Ponga, talking about more pain on the fantasy roller coaster. A lot of players out there who just howled and howled through the pain, and now it's looking like with that Liz Frank injury, we're going to have to bite the bullet there, losing 200k. So,
just butting in there, Clinty, I was one of those that howled Ponga this whole season. So, and I was always just hoping after Origin, he sort of gives it his all. He's not afraid to get hurt, and now I've lost him. So, good old Ponga.
Yeah, no, thankfully it dodged that bullet. And Metcalf, brutal ACL, season done. Done a great job up until this point, as we talked about on our first videos each. Everyone jumped off the train fairly early, both of us included, and he got up to 730k before that injury and averaging 50 plus. But unfortunately for the Wars, they are in a little bit of trouble with their injury issues. Some guns really starting to go down, which is unfortunate.
Especially with Barnett already gone, you're sort of your leader, one of your Origin players. Then CNK as well. Looks like it's not too flash for him. Could be out long term. So no confirmed timeline, I don't think. But yeah, probably another one if you do have, you've got to move on from. So wasn't a bit of bother.
Yeah. And finally, there to finish it up, hey, massive one here. Low owned in the top sort of 1,000, 5,000 ranks at the moment, but could have been on the radar for some moving forward. But for myself, Hudson Young is just 10 in the bin. Hey, you're off, sit on the sideline, miss out on the action for the run home. Best back row in the fantasy at the moment, so it is a big call, but dealing with a lingering, super painful groin injury. Misses the next 2 weeks, this week with Origin, next week via bye. Around 24, the Raiders still have that third and final bye to pop up. So with all that time already off, there's still that risk in the background of that groin flaring up again. Raiders an easy last 9 games. Blowouts are on the radar, early rests, all of that stuff going on in the background with him. It's just a no-go. I mean, they've got Eels, Knights, Dragons, Seagulls, chucking Tigers and Dolphins, who great attacking side, but not necessarily the best defensive. There are blowouts there, left, right, and centre. So, for me, Hudson Young is not in my plans at all.
Yeah, he's not in my plans. Not knowing he's got that injury around. Same for me. I've still held Suo Wong, purely because last week I could loop with him. Kind of wish I didn't loop with them because I would have been stuck with Duncan's 96. But someone that I think he's out to around 23. Someone I think you can comfortably get rid of. Anyone else that you got on your list to talk about, Conti?
No, that is all from me. Preston is right on my radar out of all those wee segments there, right on my radar. Couchman is looking on the way out. They're the big ones for myself.
No, awesome. We'll kick down to some key points. I've got a few questions here. What are our numbers like for the week and next week, round 19? How you looking, Frosty?
Both those weeks I'm looking at fielding the 13. 2 trades this week and 2 trades next to make that reality, but trades that I'm really happy with and I think really strengthen me for a massive run home. What about yourself?
So kind of annoying. I've got Shiba and Carez in my team. So plan to have them for the round 18 bye round and 19. But yeah, now I'm unfortunately a centre and a wing fullback down for this round. So hurts a bit. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making trades. So I've got a couple lined up. I'm really considering getting in Teddy, trading out the aforementioned Wong. And then I need to get in a centre, so I'm not too sure yet. The few that we mentioned during TLT, like there's no good option, I don't think. Kane Bradley is actually someone I have to double check if he is. I wonder if I just quickly bring him up now and have a look. Is he a centre? He is a centre. So he's at 263k. I'm confident he's probably a red dot going forward. It's someone I might get because if he gets 1 or 2 tries, he probably gets a 30 or a 40. He's only going to score like a Jed Stewart. Real try reliant, not your sort of base stat guy. And then I've got a luxury trade I could make. I've got enough in the forwards to not need one, but Tavanga, I am, depending how things shape out, if I'm confident he sort of moves into that prop rotation, I may hold him and keep him playing as a starting mid. Otherwise, I might look to put him on my reserves and trade out a Ponga for a Katoa in the edge. And move Duncan into my mid spot. So that would sort of firm up an edge spot for me. I need one for next week. So missing Kolomatangi and Duncan next week and having Wong and Couchman injured, that's my sort of 4 edges all out. I do have cover though with Lucas to play the edge. So if I bring Katoa, I'm going to stay real strong next week. So something I'll probably look at doing, I'd say. And then I could...
Big fan of that one.
Potentially even loop a likes of a Tapane with a Tavanga in case Tapane does have an injury to the finger. I think he's carrying a finger injury.
In case that finger goes at a 90-degree angle again.
If that happens and he comes off inside 20 minutes, I can make that sort of exit to Tavanga and chuck Haas up in my... or someone up in my mid spot. And yeah, there'll be happy days then. So that Jazz might actually pay off with a loop that way.
Yeah, nice. I like it. Shaping up well.
So, captain's choices, Clinty. Is it only May?
Yeah, look, I think so. There is Colin Matangi. He has proven multiple times this season that he can go large and be in that realm of the Mays and the Haas of the world. Really under par last week, but I think you just sort of ignore that. So that is probably the pod play if I was to make one this week. For those out there that know 80-90% of the community going with May, Colin Matangi would be right at the top of the other list.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm going to be selecting May as my captain. I think most players will. I mean, he's just been a rock solid 70-point captain, so it's pretty hard to pick against. And even if you're picking a pod to try and make up ground, it's very hard to make up ground when someone's just averaging 70. So, for someone outside of the top 5K though, if you look at your sort of your backs in your team, the likes of your Teddies, your Drinkwaters, your Garricks, your Turbos, potential Hughes or Savala, is there anyone that if they're desperate to try and make up ranks and just hope May has like a 55-point score, is there anyone you'd consider?
I would, top of that list is a guy you're looking to get in, Teddy. I think he would be there. Tigers really struggling, no Luai. They are a little bit in all sorts at the moment. And Roosters still strong enough. Backline strong, enough forwards. Those young guys have proven themselves already this season. So that would certainly be one I look at. Drinkwater would be a hard no against the Storm. That is
that's
right up there when it comes to the extremes of pod plays. So that would be just happy.
On the flip side then, Hughes has scored I think an 85 and an 80 in recent weeks up against Cowboys with their team missing all their origin players and leaking points for fun most weeks. Is Hughes someone that you think could pop off again this week and, worth the risk? I'm asking this purely because in my draft team I need to pick who my captain's going to be in it. Contemplating Hughes
again, like outside top 5K drafts, those guys is looking to make a difference in those overall ranks. Pod play, I wouldn't mind it. Cowboys leak points of fun, let alone when they're missing origin stars and a couple out here and there. So, don't mind that shout. He's found a little bit of form. Big forward pack there for the Storm, and they might just get a roll on.
Yeah, if I was putting a pod down, it would be Teddy or it would be Hughes. So, I mean, and that's purely because I'm hoping they score big because they're in the team. But I do think there's potential either of them go big guns this week. Right, something we're going to do weekly on the potty is our tips for the round, and we'll post something on Facebook on a Thursday night or a Thursday afternoon with who you and me pick. So we'll quickly run through this. First game is Clint, your Dogs paying $1.50 against the Broncos, about $1 extra. Both teams pretty short with a few out. I'm not sure exactly who I'm going to pick first up, but I'm probably putting the tick, if I'm honest, on the Broncos.
Hey, nah, that's a rubbish start, eh? Come on now. Pulling my leg. Down that 0-1 already, you just put that tick of mine right over that Bulldogs emblem.
I think the Broncos have picked up a little bit in recent weeks. I mean, I'm worried with our Shibber and Walsh, Carrigan and Haas that they don't go well, but if I was picking one upset this week, it's probably that. Otherwise, to be honest, it's a pretty straightforward round otherwise. So that's my one upset for the week.
Fair enough.
Second game, Raiders versus Dragons. Raiders hot favourites. I'm not looking elsewhere.
Nah, biggest winning margin the weekend. Give that tick to the Raiders.
Most certainly. Next, we have the Cowboys versus Storm. Where are you going with this one, Clinty?
I've just made the call of biggest win margin of the weekend to the Raiders, but forgot this one was coming up. Storm, right up there with the Raiders for biggest margin.
Yeah, Cowboys have been dreadful lately, and I quite like the Storm here as well, so it's a definite tick for them. Who else we got? We got Roosters versus the Tigers. I am very confident on the Roosters. They'll play well during the bye rounds, and they've got a real young team. There's a lot of young studs coming through, so I'm actually picking this one to be quite a easy victory as well.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the episode, Roosters, young guns, and the forwards there, they've proven themselves, so should be an easy Roosters win there. Most of these shaping up 13 plus, I reckon.
Yeah, and looking at the value for them through tipping is, it proves that as well. There's basically rank outsides. The closest game is the Bulldogs versus the Broncos.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
The Roosters versus the Tigers is the biggest margin. Roosters $1.22 and Tigers $4.35. So, yeah, 95% odds there for the Roosters, and I'm sticking on that. Last game there, you never know, could be an upset here. Sea Eagles versus Rabbitohs. Sea Eagles, I think their benefit this season is they don't miss DCE. They don't miss any of the likes of Turbo or Jake. They should be hot favourites. Rabbitohs, without Latrell, do they have any attacking force, really?
Struggling, I think.
Yeah.
They show flashes. Wayne Bennett coached teams. They're always going to be in the fight, but yeah, just a little bit inconsistent and missing a couple of key players. Cam Murray on the Bunnies, though, apparently looking right to be back at some point this season, which is positive for them. But not them this week for me.
Nor me. So we'll lock those ones in. The only difference we got is you're going the Bulldogs with your heart. I'm going the Broncos as a Queensland supporter. And yeah, we'll see who wins that round one matchup.
And chuck it in this week because might forget next, but add Blues to mine. Give that tick there, 13 plus at home.
I'm sure we'll mention it next week. So I'll be proudly wearing my maroon jersey in the lead up to that. And back in the men in maroon. So Frosty, that's basically covered what we want to tonight. We aim to do this again next week. We'll record on a Tuesday night, either put the pod out on a Tuesday night or we'll probably schedule it for a Wednesday morning. There'll be a bit going on in social medias, but you got any final words?
I think for me, when making your trades this week, it's the last major buy round. But don't just get tunnel vision. Don't just be focusing on this week and surviving this one and fielding 13 players. 19's up next week, the last minor buy. We only need 13, but that's shaping up as another tricky one. A couple of positions there that are going to be a little bit trickier to fill. So make sure you're thinking of 18 and 19. Don't get that tunnel vision, otherwise you might find yourself burning 3 or 4 this week to field that 13, but then rinsing and repeating next week and burning 6 or 7, 8 trades over these 2, which will just derail the run home.
No, it definitely will. It's looking like the next couple of weeks could be carnage. People using up all their trades and only a few teams having buy rounds. So, key few teams having buy rounds, I should say. Like you suggested, don't go and ruin your team for the run home this weekend or next. But look to do something that's going to bring players in who are going to stay in your 21 for the rest of the year that can help you climb ranks. So if that is a red dot going forward, make sure it's a cheap one. Or if it's someone that's a value, make sure it's someone that's, you're happy to play in your 17 if required. You're not really looking to bring someone just to trade out in the next couple of weeks. So it's not sort of about that money building now. So anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. First podcast is down. and all the best for the weekend fixtures. We appreciate you listening, and give us a subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify and Facebook, and we'll see you back here next week.
Yeah, Steve. Hey, go the Dogs.
Up the Broncos. Right, we'll roll the outro. We appreciate your support for the Fantasy HQ podcast, all things NRL Fantasy. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify and Facebook, and most importantly, thanks for watching.